There's a strange problem facing some of the most advanced militaries on Earth. Countries like the United States and Israel have built incredibly sophisticated air defense systems to stop missiles and rockets in mid-air. And yet some relatively simple Iranian weapons are still getting through. Not because they're more advanced, but because they changed the rule of the game. Two weapons in particular are creating problems. One, cluster munitions, and second, the Shahed drone. Both exploit the same weakness that modern air defense is expensive and limited as well. Let's start with cluster munitions. Normally, a missile carries a single warhead and the air defense system is meant to track the missile and destroy it before it reaches the target. But in a cluster weapon, the missile opens up in mid-air and releases dozens of smaller explosives called bomblets. These scatter across a wide area, which means that even if the missile itself is intercepted, the bomblets may already be falling. And once that happens, there's very little air defenses can do. Israel's Iron Dome system, for example, is designed to intercept rockets, but it can't stop dozens of small bomblets once they've already dispersed in the sky. There is also a historical irony here. Today, Israel warns about the dangers of cluster munitions, but during the 2006 war with Hezbollah, Israel itself used large numbers of cluster bombs in Lebanon. Iran has built several missiles capable of carrying these types of warheads. One of them is the Khurramshahr medium-range ballistic missile, which can supposedly carry up to 80 bomblets. But the second weapon might be even more important, the Shahed drone. And what makes this drone dangerous isn't how advanced it is, it's actually how cheap it is. The Shahed is basically a small flying bomb with a propeller engine, GPS navigation, and explosives in the nose. It can basically be launched from anywhere. Public estimates suggest that each drone costs between $20,000 to $50,000, but the missiles used to shoot them down can cost between $3 to $12 million. That's why analysts sometimes call the Shahed the poor man's cruise missile. It's a cheap way to strike targets, and Iran rarely launches just one. They launch many. These drones fly low and slow, which can make them harder for radar systems designed for ballistic missiles to detect. Even though many are intercepted, often by US-supplied systems like the Patriot, some still get through. The United Arab Emirates says that since the start of the war, it detected 941 Iranian drones and 65 landed inside its territory. US officials say that Iran has launched more than 2,000 drones in the conflict so far, and experts believe that Iran has large stockpiles and could potentially produce hundreds more drones each week. And here's the more interesting part. The US has actually tried to disrupt that supply chain with sanctions, but once the design spread, stopping it became harder. Russia began using Iranian-supplied Shahed drones in Ukraine in 2022, and since then, Moscow has received thousands and started producing its own versions using Iranian blueprints. But on the other hand, Ukraine has also experimented with shooting these drones down using fighter jet cannons instead of expensive interceptors. It has also developed cheaper interceptor drones designed specifically to stop Shaheds. Some Gulf countries are now also considering those same systems. But of course, building these new defense systems takes time. And some reports actually are suggesting that United States is now trying to make clones of the Shahed itself. A recent Pentagon project called Lucas, as in low-cost unmanned combat attack system, is designed to rival the Shahed 136. But according to reporting by Forbes, the US is still struggling to match the simplicity and scale of the Iranian design. As journalist David Hambling notes, the drone arms race is well underway and the US is starting from behind. And that's really the bigger story here. In a world where technological advancement is perceived as the advantage, Iran is proving that the advantage is actually just economics.